as to how you can make your insurance a little bit cheaper. And a little disclaimer here, I'm not some insurance expert or anything like that, but if there's one thing that I do know is that very nice indeed. That guy ruined the shot, damn it. Alright guys, I'm going to be completely honest with you. These things are really expensive, and even though in my opinion the enjoyment and the fun that you get out of a motorcycle far outweighs the cost of one, for a lot of you it's going to be quite a big consideration, and especially when you have to pay things like taxes, insurances, MOTs, maintenance and all that stuff, and not to mention any other taxes effectively that you have to pay in your own countries. I'm going to try and give you a few pointers today as to how you can make your insurance just that little bit cheaper. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not some kind of insurance expert or anything like that, but there's one thing I do know, is that whenever you're applying for insurance, it uses algorithms to figure out what your premium should be. So I'm going to give you a few pointers that I've used over the years to make that insurance premium just that little bit cheaper and to make your riding experience just that little bit more enjoyable. Let's get to it.
Alright, so we're back at home. I've got my laptop open. We're going to open up a web browser, whichever one of you're choosing. I'm personally using Firefox at the moment. And we're going to go to a comparison site. So let's go to Compare the Market, because that's the one that I personally use, but you can use any comparison site. They all work very, very similarly. So let's go to Compare the Market. And then let's go down to this one, because I don't like clicking on the ads. Let's save that. Right, and then we're going to go to motorcycle insurance. Now remember, this will work with cars and motorcycles, so it doesn't really matter because they both ask you the same questions. But in this example, we're going to use motorcycles. All right. Now what I want you to do first is be as honest as possible first. So put in all the details accurately, or at least as accurately as you know. And then once we get the results, we're going to go through a few things that are going to make your premiums just that little bit cheaper. All right. Now, instead of putting in my bike's registration, instead, I'm going to go help me find my vehicle, because then it lets me put it in manually. So go manufacturer, let's go Kawasaki, let's do my ZZR. Let's do Performance Sport ZZR. It's a 2016. Okay, confirm vehicle. All right. Now, it does have data tag, but we're just going to say in this one, no security device. If your bike does have one, then feel free to have a look in this massive list of security devices. But I'm just going to say no security device, just in this example. Bike value, minimum £50. Right, well, I bought the bike for £10,000. Value of accessories, so this will include your leathers, your helmet, gloves, what have you, boots. So let's put in £500 in there. Right, so bike imported, no. Modified adapted, no. Where's the bike kept overnight? So for me, I keep it in a garage. Right, house name or number. Let's go to 1. Let's put in some random postcode that is not my house. Find, and we'll go to here. Don't worry, I don't live in the middle of Brighton. All right, let's go next. Date of purchase. So let's say I've just bought the bike. So at the moment it is June 2021. So let's put in June 2021. You can put in have not purchased the bike yet if you want to, if you haven't bought it yet. But we'll get to this bit in a minute, because this bit is quite important. Right, use of bike. So social, domestic, pleasure and commuting, because I'm going to use it for everything. Let's say 5,000 miles for the mileage. I think that's perfectly reasonable. Use of any other vehicles. I have another car, van or bike. In this case, I have a car and a bike. All right. Title. Let's go Mr. Let's go Simon Jones. That's not my real name, but it doesn't matter. And let's say the 6th of April 1985. Not my date of birth. This is all just fake information, so this is literally just to give you guys an example of you going through this process. All right, email address Tom Hanks June 2021 at gmail.com. Relationship status single, Employment status, employed. Let's say we are a trainer in the construction industry. Construction. Part-time occupation, no. Permanent residence. Now remember, all these things, they will affect your premiums ever so slightly, but they're not some of the big things, at least not from what I've found anyway. So, because we're riding a ZZR, we've got a full license as we need to. Let's say we've got the license in the UK. Yes, we want to take pillions. Period of license held for, let's say that we've had our license for 10 years. And that we've been insured for 10 years. I don't know. It doesn't really matter for this example. I mean, if you say that you've been riding for, let's say, 3 to 4 years, date obtained January 2018, something like that, and then we can go 3 years is how long that we've been insured as a rider. Nope, we're not a member of a biking organisation. Advanced riding qualifications, nope. All right, this bit, I'm going to say no in this example. But obviously, if you do have something for this, then you're probably going to want to put that in. So motor accidents, you're supposed to make that known. Any driving penalties or riding penalties, unfortunately, they all get applied to the same driving license, whether you are driving or riding, doesn't matter. If you get a speeding ticket on a motorcycle, the points are applied on your driving license as a whole. So it's not like it's applied just to the or just to the motorcycle side of your license. It gets applied to both. And this one here, all right, most people, it's going to be no for most of you. Right, let's go next. No, the bike's just for me. Type of cover, the ZZR is an expensive bike, so I'm going to do fully comp. Let's go none. I don't like having voluntary excesses on any insurance that I buy, so I'm just going to put none for that one. But obviously, if you want to put some money in there, then you can. No claims discount. Let's say that we've been riding for 3 years and we've got 3 years no claims. One thing that is quite annoying actually that I found is when I had my provisional license, so this is when I was riding my 125, I'd ridden for 2 years at that point on a provisional license. But if you put into comparison sites that you have got a full license and you tell them when you've had your full license, so for me, for example, I've had my full license since I was 17. So I've been riding for 2 years and had my full license when I was 17. But if you put down that you've got no claims bonus past the years that you've had your full license, it doesn't accept it. So it has to be the date when you got your full license is how many years that your no claims discount has been going for. It's a little bit annoying because I've actually got 2 years extra no claims discount, but for some reason, because it's on a provisional license, it doesn't count. But that's something for you 16, 17-year-olds, if you're looking to buy insurance, that's just something that you're going to have to look out for. Basically, if you get no claims discount for those 2-3 years, however long you're riding on a provisional, it doesn't matter. They don't care. So you can't really put down you've had a full license for longer than that. I mean, I suppose you could. That's the way around it if you wanted to do that. But it's just an experience that I had, which kind of annoyed me because I had to start from scratch basically when I got my full license. Anyway, right. How do you normally pay for your insurance? Well, I normally pay in monthly installments. When would you like your policy to start? Let's say the 1st of July. Let's go next. All right, breakdown cover. No, I don't want any of this stuff. Next. No, I don't want to be contacted by any of them. Let's tick. Sign your life away. All right, so bike 2016 ZZR. Bike value £10,000, no mods. Yeah, blah blah blah. All that is about right. So let's go get quotes. We'll give this a second for it to come through. Whoa, okay. So yeah, some pretty expensive insurance here. If I go monthly, woo, bloody hell, £166 for the first payment, £144 for the next 8. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that is basically how much I'm paying in direct debits for the bike itself. I'm paying £146 a month for it. So that is pretty expensive. The actual insurance that I'm paying is £40 per month. And that's for 2 bikes as well. That's for the CBR and the ZZR. So that is bloody expensive. Bearing in mind that this particular person, Simon Jones, has only been riding for 3 years and has only got 3 years no claims bonus, well, that kind of makes sense. But here we're going to fudge it a little bit, and I'm not going to change the cover type or anything like that. I want to buy comprehensive cover. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go through each of the application bits and pieces here, and we're going to modify a few of the details. So if we go to your bike, now all this is correct, so you can't really change that, right? Bike usage. Let's edit this a second. So estimated total annual mileage. Now the less mileage you actually ride, or the less mileage you put down in here, in theory the less risk you are because you're not out and about so much. And I don't know about you, but I think that's probably a fair assumption for mileage for me personally. So, that's probably accurate. It might be a little bit less than that in reality. But what we're going to do, we're going to change this number. We're going to put this to 1,000 miles. Now, if you wanted to, if you're doing an application for a car, and say you put down, 12,000 miles like this for a car, which is, again, quite reasonable, quite usual, quite normal, and then you can just halve it. You can halve it. Tell you what, in this instance, let's go 2,500. Right, now another thing that's really important is this, date of purchase. Now I've been completely honest here, and I've said that I bought the bike in June this year. So this month, I bought the bike this month. Don't put that. Put down the year before. Might seem like a really, really stupid detail, but they will never ask you when you bought the bike. It's like your total annual mileage. They will never ask you how much mileage you've done. Because they never ask you how much mileage your bike has currently on its odometer. So they're never ever going to know how much mileage the bike you've actually put on the bike. So these are two metrics here that are quite important. So make sure you change this one to the year before. Now, of course, if it's a brand new vehicle, then they're not going to accept that. So this has to be done for used vehicles. I don't know about you guys, but I personally buy used cars, used bikes. That I don't really buy new. There's no point, because you ride or you drive for a day and then the value just it just drops like a stone. So there's no point. But anyway, so change that to the year before, and half the mileage that you accurately think you're going to be doing. All right, let's go next. Let's go continue. Policy here, comprehensive, 0 excess, 3 years no claims discount. Now these kinds of things you can't really change because they're going to ask for proof of your no claims discount. You might get lucky, and they might not ask for it. That's happened to me a couple of times for cars and motorcycles alike. Going through insurance companies, different insurance companies will require you that you provide proof, especially if you have small amounts of no claims bonus. If you have like 10 years, they probably won't ask you. But I would keep that accurate. Keep this accurate as possible. And like I said, comprehensive. You can make it cheaper by going third-party fire and theft if you want to, but the ZZR, as the example that we're using here, it's a £10,000 bike, so I want fully comp cover. You want that, because if you have third party and someone crashes into you, then fine, the opposing insurance company has to pay for the repairs on your bike and the person that caused the crash. But if you cause the accident, your insurance company will only pay for the damages on the other side. That's why it's called third party. They only do the cover for the other person, the victim in the crash, effectively. So if they find that you are the cause of the crash, then they will pay for their damages, but they will not pay for yours. So that's why fully comp is quite important on really expensive bikes. If it's a bike that's like £1,000, you don't really care about it that much, then who cares? I suppose you could just buy yourself another bike if you really wanted to. So fully comp, depending on the value of the bike, it makes more sense in cars because cars generally are more expensive. So it's entirely up to you, but personally, for the ZZR at least, comprehensive cover is what I want. Now this one here, policy start date. Now, of course, depending on when you actually buy the bike, sometimes you can actually get some slightly cheaper premiums if you go a little bit later. So if say for example I bought the bike today and I want to insure it today, you put down the 27th. Yeah, 27th is today. If I bought the bike today, that's when I want the policy to start. But sometimes if you do it a little bit later, say the month later, you can sometimes get some discounts that way as well. But anyway, let's go next. No, don't want any of this nonsense. I mean, if you want this stuff, then that's fine, but they're just upselling you at this point, so it doesn't really matter. Like, for example, my home insurance will pay for my leathers. They'll pay for my helmet. They'll pay for my phone. Most riders will have their phones in their pockets. If that somehow gets smashed, well, your insurance company should pay out for that if you have home insurance. All right. And then everything else we can keep as is. Next, let's go to quotes. And let's see how much it is now with the changes we've made. There we go. So you're saving yourself a few £100. Much cheaper. You see that? So the only changes we've made are the mileage. We've halved the mileage. We have said that we bought the bike the year before. Basically, those are the only changes that we made. Things like the riding experience, the no claims bonus, all that is exactly the same. All of it's the exact same details. It is literally just those two metrics that make a massive difference to the price. It's halved it. You know? £100. I mean, okay, to be fair, look, this was the company here that gave us the quote before, and it was quoting us £144 a month. I mean, that's gone down to £127 a month, so it is still quite expensive from this company. However, look, you get this other company that comes along, and they can do it cheaper purely because you have owned the bike for longer, even though you haven't had it insured. You know, I mean, because if they ask you about it, you can say that I bought the bike as a project, so I haven't needed to insure it, and I've had it for a year. So even if they do ask, you can come up with some kind of excuses. You just have to remember, obviously, in the insurance application that you say you bought it in June last year. So if you did buy it in June this year, just say I bought it in June last year. They won't argue with you about it. I mean, if they might turn around and ask for DVLA details for when the bike was actually transferred into your name. But again, you can say you bought it from salvage. You know, you say you bought it from salvage and you registered it like the other week. But technically, you can say you've owned the bike for a year, just not registered it. You know, so there's a couple of things that you can say that you can kind of fudge it. But remember, the insurance companies, they won't ask you these things. Like, they won't ask you your mileage. They just won't. Like I said, all this is done in algorithms, so you can fudge it ever so slightly that it goes in your favor, and you don't even have to lie all that much. You know, I don't want to get sued for this video, so I don't want to show my face. I don't want to show any of my details. I don't want to show the reg numbers of the bikes or anything like that. I want to stay away from that. All I want to do is just make you guys aware of the ways that you can make things like your insurance just that little bit cheaper. You save yourself how much? 70 quid. Save yourself 70 quid, and you can use that every month to, I don't know, for fuel or something. Buy yourself a crate of beers every month. It's a lot of difference. I mean, there's one thing here that you will want to maybe keep an eye on, and that is the excesses. So on here, look, this company, it might be quite cheap for insurance, but the compulsory excess is 750 quid. You could add a little bit of voluntary. You might get a little bit of a discount there, but a monthly discount, but you're still going to have to pay £750 compulsory, and then you're going to have whatever it is you pay up front as well as voluntary. So I don't like paying voluntary excess. I don't, because they're going to charge you an arm and a leg for compulsory excess anyway. So there's basically no point. I mean, this company here, look, they're quite reasonable. Compulsory excess, 350 quid, but the monthly premiums are £147 a month. And of course, that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to make our monthly premiums cheaper. And of course, it's even better if you do it annually as well. Remember this company here, this one, MCE, they were putting on for an annual charge something like, was it 1,200 or 1,300, something like that for the whole year. And now it's under £1,000. And even with this company here, significantly cheaper, £768.20. I actually think that's quite a reasonable price for insurance on something like a ZZR 1400. You know, these are not bikes that are, you know, safe in any way for beginner riders. Okay, for those of you that, say for example, you are Simon Jones and you've got 3 years of riding experience, that's nowhere near enough for a ZZR. But at least you're going to have companies that are willing to insure you on it, you know, and insure you on it for quite cheap. But anyway, guys, I'll put up like a snapshot of both the premiums so you guys can get an idea of you know, an accurate idea of the differences. I'll put that up on the screen now for you. But yeah, I hope that that's giving you a bit of an insight into how you can make it a little bit cheaper. Remember, I'm not telling you to do anything illegal, really. You know, I'm not telling you to fudge the amount of years you've been riding. I'm not telling you to fudge your address. You definitely don't want to do that. You want to make sure that your address is accurate. Things like the no claims bonus, you want to make sure that is also accurate. But things like how long you've owned the bike for and your mileage, your annual mileage, you can fudge those two metrics to make them cheaper. But I'm not advising you to do any of the stuff that I have demonstrated today. Is literally just a demonstration. It's just to show you what can be done. Remember, if you guys do this at your own risk. Yeah, if you want to be completely safe with your insurance and you want to make sure that your insurance company pays out if, you know, you do get in an accident or what have you. Well, I mean, there's plenty of reasons why an insurance company would not pay out, and a lot of the times you'll find insurance companies will try not to pay out. You know, they will find some kind of excuse not to pay out. You don't really want to give them more weaponry against you, you know? You don't want to be left with a £10,000 bill, a £10,000 wreck, basically. You don't want to end up with that. But these couple of metrics, they're really easy to get away with, and even if they ask you about them, you know, you can make up a pretty convincing story about it. And remember, these clerks that deal in claims, the office staff that deal with claims, they really don't want to go through the hassle of asking you lots and lots of questions. So as long as your story sounds legit, they're not going to care. They'll just process the claim through. I mean, that's the thing. You could be completely honest on your application and they'll still find a way of not paying out. So as far as I'm concerned, you want to get a one-up on these insurance companies, and unless you're really, really unlucky, you'll be fine doing this. I've been doing this for 3 years on my cars and my bikes. I mean, yeah, fine, I haven't had any accidents in that time, but you shouldn't have accidents every year. You know, if you have one accident in every 10 years, then you're unlucky as far as I'm concerned. But of course, that depends on your driving ability and your riding ability. But anyway, that'll do for this one, guys. I hope it's helped you out. Please make sure to give us a like, comment, subscribe, and all the usual stuff. Obviously, any of you in the comments, you know, if there's any other tips and tricks that you can give the wider community on how to make, you know, their costs just a little bit cheaper, whether that be insurance or what have you, then yeah, feel free to drop them in the comments for everyone. I'd like to know your thoughts as well on this, and you know, how you guys have fudged your insurance applications just a little bit, just to try and make it that little bit cheaper for yourselves. You know, we pay a lot in insurance. If you own one motorcycle and one car, insurance is pretty damn expensive. And it's only when you've been driving and riding for 10 plus years is when it, you know, gets significantly cheaper. The problem is that you start earning more money the older you get, and that's when you could probably afford to pay higher premiums. But when you're a younger rider, or you don't have that much experience in riding, that's probably the time when you can't afford to pay for expensive insurance premiums. But yeah, hey, look, I've almost halved your premiums in this video. So, but yeah, do this at your own risk. But you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just just don't complain. Don't complain to, I don't know, insurance companies or something, because they'll probably change. They'll probably change their algorithms, and then we'll have to find another way to make our insurance cheaper. But it's been like this for years, so I don't really see it changing in the near future. It costs them a lot of money to develop these algorithms, so But anyway, that'll do for this video, guys. Thanks again for watching. Remember to leave us a like, and we'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.